We don't have the right to make it legal to infringe on somebody else's inalienable rights. All right, folks, let me start off with a disclaimer. I wasn't actually watching The View. I just heard about it. I saw the article and hey, bear with me. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Alfonso Rachel sitting in for Bill Whittle with my buddies Steve Green and Scott Ott. This is The Right Angle. And y'all, I saw this right here. Whoopi Goldberg issues warning to SCOTUS justice. You better hope that they don't come for you, Clarence. And I guess this is coming out of, they're worried about the other things that he'd have he would put his opinions on concerning things like LGBT marriage and whatnot. And but okay, here's the thing. Whoopi, who are they? That's the thing I want to, folks, help me out here. Who is this they that she's talking about? Is she talking about the Christian right or racist Republicans? I mean, because dang, Whoopi, if that's actually true, then I guess Jenny Thomas, herself could have killed Clarence a long time ago. Just roll over and just kill him. She would be like, if anybody was going to do it, it'd be her, wouldn't it? I mean, she's like just notoriously, right wing and all that sort of stuff. My wife could have taken me out a long time ago, right? Because she's pretty darn conservative. So I guess she's another dead ringer for one of them racist Republicans. So like I said, who is this they that you're talking about? I'll help you out. That they would be people like you, right? Because as you guys are like coming after us, or maybe it could be that other they that you're so concerned about. You're concerned about those that they that actually refers to themselves as they, because they have these pronouns and stuff as they speak the language of legion, making themselves a plural singularity. So is that the they that you're talking about who is so up in arms? Because y'all are speaking some pretty hostile language towards us. So in light of Whoopi's dark statement of they're coming to get us, I got two questions. Steve, one, you plotting on me? And
no.
And two, and I'm serious. I hope you guys can fill folks in on that. Are you guys plotting on me? And two, am I crazy for having the long-held belief and understanding that the behavior of being a homosexual and a person's nationality are not comparable? And they try to lump this thing in the same together as if the plight is the same. It ain't. Steve, am I off here?
There are times where I just want to throw up my hands, but some of the things being said to and about Clarence Thomas are just absolutely revolting. Somebody claimed, it might have been Whoopi in this same thing, that next to the Supreme Court, which, by the way, he sits on, is going to take away mixed marriages and they're going to nullify his marriage to Ginny. This is not going to happen, clearly. And the things I've been saying about Ginny for the last year, by the January 6th things, as though a woman is not allowed to have political opinions of her own and share them in private text messages or emails or whatever it was. And this is the kind of stuff that Clarence Thomas has been dealing with for, more than 30 years now. The 1991 confirmation hearings were just absolutely revolting. But he was, as he remains, a gentleman and a scholar, and he withstood far more than any free American should ever have to endure. And yet, he endures it, and he does it so well. As long as Whoopi's being so mean, I just like to add on one last thought. I actually really enjoyed Whoopi Goldberg's work in the 80s and early 90s. I think the first thing I saw her in was that just famously funny episode of Moonlighting. There was a really cute spy movie called Jumpin' Jack Flash that she starred in. A lot of genuine laughs in that one. I probably haven't seen it in 30 years, but I really, really enjoyed it. What was the one where she had to go undercover as a nun? The Singing Nuns.
Sister Act.
Thank you. What a fun, happy, and let's just call it a virtuous movie because it didn't have anything negative to say about anybody, and great musical numbers. Enjoyed the heck out of it. I look at Whoopi Goldberg now and I see this bitter, angry person who appears to have swallowed the young Whoopi Goldberg whole.
That's not nice.
No, it isn't nice. But you know what? I usually don't say stuff like that. But when somebody who is as mean as she is malinformed spouts off about respected jurists like Clarence Thomas, I want to turn on my insult machine and aim it right at her.
Indeed. And it's like, what? I mean, really, to be, I'm not trying to say that somebody's, bank account should be something that makes them happy, but it's like, woman, you live in the American dream. You're famous. I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying about the famous, but if that's what you pursued, this is what you wanted. You were able to gain these things, and you're just becoming more miserable, and you're trying to drag other people into your misery. And it's just bad. And and I'm looking at her co-host who says this. Everything is on the menu now. Contraception is on the menu. Gay marriage is now possibly going to be overturned. Affirmative action is no more. Co-host Sonny Hostin said, and that's when I guess Whoopi jumps in and says he better hope we were not in, he better hope we were not in the Constitution either. We were not even people in the Constitution. I don't know where she's getting that from. Goldberg kept at it. So Whoopi, the Constitution says nothing about what you're talking about. When it's referring to man, it's referring to all mankind, the human species. Okay. But to say that we're not in there, or there's these provisions in there that disqualify our personhood or anything like that, Whoopi, that's been proven to not be true by the Democrats themselves, that party that you're so tied to. The Democrats hate the U.S. Constitution. They're still in rebellion against the U.S. Constitution. And they were in rebellion against the Constitution back in the day, so much so that they created their own Constitution, the Constitution of the Confederate States. Yeah, that was them. And they hated our Constitution so much because it didn't put in that language that made it okay to enslave the Negro. So they made their own and put in it clear language that made it okay to enslave the Negro. All right. So no, our Constitution doesn't say anything about what you're talking about. And in terms of the marriage thing, it was Democrats that made interracial marriage illegal. They're the ones who came up with the anti-miscegenation laws. And I'll remind y'all again, that you're trying to tie this to black people, a black person's plight, or interracial marriage, people of different nations marrying, and you're trying to tie that in with gay marriage. Y'all, you're the ones who held those marriages. I mean, those licenses from ours to keep us from getting married. And now you suckered the LGBT into thinking that you're the champions and they can get those licenses from you, those same licenses that you withheld from black people and other people going to be married interracially, or as you call it, interracially. I call it international. We international, baby. So that's y'all who does that. And it's so sad these people fall for it. And so to bring it on in, Scott, help me out here, man. Well, I got two questions for you. One, why should I not believe that y'all ain't plotting on me? Why should I believe that y'all aren't out to get me? And how do I know that Bill is really out there somewhere planting C4 around my domicile, trying to take us out? But for real, man, it's not so much that Whoopi says this, that's such, a disappointment. But what do we say, man, to what's really disturbing in the millions of fans that she have who celebrate her and eat this stuff up?
Yeah, and I'm probably a bad person to ask about The View because I find that program to be utterly unwatchable, mostly because I just can't be in a group of people where everybody wants to talk at the same time, and I can't process all of that. Maybe I've got some sort of disorder, but I need to be able to focus in on one person at a time, and just the chattering all around the table just drives me nuts. Yes, I said chattering. It sounds like chattering. It's interesting the approach that she takes here, because obviously everything that Whoopi Goldberg does with regard to The View is designed to increase the viewership of The View. So she wants to be seen as controversial. She wants to say provocative things so that people will want to tune into that show. And it's nice to see her showing concern for her fellow African American who's risen to a high position of importance and prominence in the court system, because she just doesn't want him to get hurt. So he better watch out, as what she's not threatening him, Zoe. I think you misunderstand there. She's expressing care for him. She wants to make sure that he's careful about how he approaches things, because you never know what might happen there. This just shows the importance of court decisions on the left as opposed to the right, because the essential court decision we were talking about in the Dobbs case was to be able to return the country to what it was before, which, if you want to adopt the language of the left, is democratic processes. So the court basically said, this is not something that should be declared by fiat to be somehow interpreted into the Constitution. This is something, in the case of abortion, that needs to be handled by democratic processes. The people should vote, and their legislators should then decide on these issues, the popularly elected people, not some appointed guys in black robes who have terms for life, but people who have to answer every 2 years or 4 years or 6 years for their positions before the voters. So essentially what the so-called conservative members of the court did was endorse democracy, is endorse people voting for how their states should be run. And many states are going to choose to endorse abortion for more people. They're going to expand abortion rights. They're going to fund abortions. They're going to, I think they'll probably fund people traveling from other states to their state to get abortions. And then other states will choose not to. And the great thing about federalism is you can choose where you want to live. If you want to live in one of the pro-abortion states, then you can go and do that. Now, do I think that that's right, that some state should back up abortion? No. No, I don't. I think it's an abomination that people should promote that act, that doctors of some sort should perform that act. But fundamentally, what Clarence Thomas is part of is a movement to allow democracy to flourish, is to allow people to vote on the rules under which they should live without it being kicked up the line to some autocratic body that gets to decide for everybody. Whoopi should be fired up about this. Whoopi should be very excited about this. And in fact, if all of the country, if she wants to make that analogy back to the antebellum era, if the whole country had been under the same rule, it would have been the rule of slavery. Thank goodness that at least half the country for a period of time was not under the rule of slavery, and only half the country was, and then ultimately that was settled by a civil war. So anyway, it's provocation, and frankly, part of me wants to say, let's not even talk about her, because we're just fueling the fire of what she wants to see happen. But I guess somebody needs to lay it on the line and say, look, this is not how it is. This is not what really happened. And your veiled threat against a sitting Supreme Court justice would not be handled so lightly by the rest of the public if you had done the same thing with regard to a sitting president of the United States.
Indeed, man. It's just like you said, if they were so confident that this is what the nation wants, then they should be content that this is something that goes towards the states, which is, even for myself, is something that I totally disagree with. You're not supposed to have in any state, even though you got this laboratory states of things that they can experiment with, and these things that they can vote on concerning certain affairs, but there are certain things that you cannot touch. You can't touch. You can't vote to be able to deprive a person of their life or their liberty or their property. You can't vote against these certain inalienable rights. You can't do that. You're not supposed to waste the court's time with it. You can't go into court and say, I want the right to be able to kill somebody. You can't do that. So those are gross misreads about these powers that go back to the state. So like I said, yes, you can have these really in our republic where we have these democratic processes is basically this. We're not going to have these votes on these rights that you can infringe on about me. It's basically, we know that there's two polarizing factions of what people think America is. You got those who think that America is a democracy where they can basically vote away what God himself has ordained. These are your rights. I gave them to you. Well, we don't like that. And we want to have the power to vote away of what you have decreed. And you have those who understand that this is a republic and say, actually, no, man, we live under this law and you can't mess with that. Not here, not this state, not any other state. You just can't do that. So, and now you got people like Whoopi Goldberg is mad, because we're setting the record straight as far as that goes. And she wants to she's basically in her subtle way promoting violence against somebody because of what he has stood for and what people like us are standing for. So y'all, the go back to the state side, which, like I said, Democrats should be so happy about. Let's maybe, if I may suggest, let's reconsider that when we talk about sending these things back to the states. We don't have the right to make it legal to infringe on somebody else's inalienable rights. You don't vote on it. You don't take it to court for it. It's not even supposed to be a court's time. Can you dig it? All right, y'all. If you can, I hope you guys will share this video and visit BillWhittle.com and also wish him well that he'll be back soon. I know you want him back soon, right? That he'll be back soon. So thank you guys so much for your support and for tuning in. For Scott Watt. Come on, Zoe. Didn't I say earlier that Moses had a speech impediment? I'm kind of just like him in that way. Man, Scott Ott, Steve Green, and for Bill Whittle, I'm Alfonso Rachel. We'll talk to you guys soon.